I know previously I said that a lot of us Americans are hurting at the grocery stores, and we are. We're hurting, especially at the micro level. But that doesn't mean that the American economy as a whole, at the macro level, isn't doing well. So let's take a look at how the economy is doing at the macro level.
President Trump's economy delivering a big present to investors. The S&P 500 closing at an all-time high on Christmas Eve for the first time in decades. The Dow also closing at a fresh record high. And we've told you about the GDP exceeding expectations this week, growing more than 4%. Income and spending also on the rise.
So at the macro level, the economy is doing really well. But I think there was a key phrase that he used that we need to pay attention to. And the key word was investors. Investors are doing well. The question is the everyday American doing well? And the answer to that is not really. Remember, 25% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. And depending on what survey you look at, sometimes it's 50 to 60% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck. But let's listen to a little more.
Look, Democrats can only succeed in gaining back power if the Trump economy does not do well. So their allies in the media are going to push this narrative that things are not going well, despite all the green we just saw on the screen as far as everything going in a very positive direction. I mean, as you mentioned, the GDP is doing great. Core inflation is down. Gas prices are down, Griff, to the point where there are some states where a gallon of gas is well below $2 per gallon. In places like Tennessee, Texas, Colorado, Utah, on average, it's below $3 per gallon. Food prices are leveling off. Wages are up. Trillions are now being invested into the country, and billions are being raised by tariffs. But here's the big stat here, Griff. Since April 2nd, Liberation Day, S&P up 23%. NASDAQ up 35%, Dow Jones up 16% when we were told the stock market was going to crash, and we're probably going towards a recession. So, yeah, they got it wrong again. Not exactly breaking news.
So median weekly earnings for a full-time employee went up about 4.2% in the year ending in 2025, compared with a 2.9% rise in inflation. That means that nominal wages outpaced inflation this year. The third quarter GDP jump was completely unexpected, and it exceeded every market prediction. Take a look.
And new data out this morning shows the American economy is still defying expectations. The latest gross domestic product report just released by the Commerce Department shows an unexpected boost last quarter. The initial reading of third quarter GDP showed right here the economy accelerated at a rate at 4.3%. That is far faster pace than the 3.8% recorded in the second quarter and the fastest growth rate in 2 years.
So what are we learning here? We're learning that Trump's economy is defying all odds. How many times have you heard the Democrats saying, well, this is going to tank the economy, this is not good, we're going to a recession, especially with these tariffs, they're going to destroy the economy?
These new tariffs are misdirected, unsubstantiated by facts, and harmful to the very workers we represent.
What is this going to do to American families? It's going to clobber them.
And none of it has happened. And for those of you wondering, how much did the tariffs have to do with the GDP jump, the unpredicted GDP jump? Take a look.
So the president said that this is all because of tariffs. And in some respects, he's right. So the way that you calculate GDP is there are two components that are part of it. It's imports and exports. When you have really high imports, that counts against your GDP. And that's exactly what we saw in the first 3 quarters of the year when people were trying to get all the product in again ahead of those tariffs hitting. This time around, though, you saw exports really high. Remember, we have a lot of trade deals, a lot of countries committing to buying U.S. goods. So that's one piece of it. The other side of it, though, is that consumer spending jumped 3.5%. The second quarter was 2.5%. Everyone was celebrating about that. So it shows that even with tariffs and people concerned about higher prices, they are still spending.
Look, when it comes to the economy, I don't think a lot of us are going to see significant fruits of all these tariffs. Now, people that are going to see significant fruits of the tariffs are going to be the farmers, but that's not going to be till next year. That's why that subsidy occurred for the farmers this year. The crops for the farmers this year, you can count that as a loss. However, next year, when the international market opens up, because remember, a lot of our farmers couldn't ship anything overseas because they were being taxed. And in return, we weren't taxing anybody. So now that there are reciprocal taxes or we have a tax advantage, these farmers are going to be able to sell their products overseas and be competitive in the international market. As far as the micro level economy or our level here as the everyday Americans, we're going to start seeing that once the big beautiful bill kicks in 2026, starting with no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and that potential $2,000 check that every American is going to get based on the tariffs that we've collected. Remember, President Trump already sent Americans checks, right? Our service members. Each service member got a check for $1,776. Some of my friends who are still in the military actually sent me a picture of their pay stub just to prove it.
Because of tariffs, along with the just passed One Big Beautiful Bill, tonight I am also proud to announce that more than 1,450,000, think of this, 1,450,000 military service members will receive a special, we call Warrior Dividend before Christmas, a Warrior Dividend in honor of our nation's founding in 1776. We are sending every soldier $1,776.
All right, I hope you guys enjoyed the story. Like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay balanced.